I gripped my thumb tighter, standing in my small apartment kitchen where I'd been preparing dinner just moments before. At 24, I'd spent years carefully saving that money, supplementing the fund my late father had started for me when I was born. You did what? My voice remained steady, though my hands shook. Oh, don't act so surprised, Sophie, my sister-in-law sneered. You think you're so special with your perfect grades and scholarship applications. Emily needs that money more than you do. She's actually going places. I closed my eyes, thinking of my father. He'd started that college fund the day I was born, adding to it monthly even when times were tough. After his death 5 years ago, my brother Mark had become the fund's co-trustee, a responsibility he promised Dad he'd take seriously. Does Mark know about this? I asked, already knowing the answer. Amanda's laugh turned bitter. Mark? Please, he's been working so much lately, he barely notices anything. Besides, as his wife, I have just as much right to that money as you do. I sat down at my kitchen table, my dinner forgotten. Actually, you don't. That fund has specific conditions. Had conditions? Amanda interrupted. Past tense, sweetie. I've already transferred everything to Emily's car fund. She's getting that red Mercedes she's been dreaming of. Much better use than wasting it on your community college classes. My chest tightened, but not from panic. Something closer to determination took hold. Thank you for letting me know, I said calmly. What? Amanda's voice lost its smug edge. That's it? No crying? No begging? No, I replied. Just, thanks for the information. I ended the call and immediately dialed another number. After 3 rings, a familiar voice answered. Sophie, I was just about to call you. Mr. Patterson, my father's financial advisor and the manager of the college fund, sounded concerned. We need to talk. About Amanda trying to empty the college fund? I asked. Ah, so you've heard. His tone shifted to something more professional. Don't worry. Your father was very specific about the fund's protections. I assume Amanda didn't mention she got an automated rejection when she tried to transfer the money. Relief flooded through me. No, she conveniently left that part out. The transfer was denied immediately. Only you or Mark can access those funds, and even then, only for educational purposes. The attempt triggered several alerts, including one to the main bank's fraud department. I smiled despite myself. Dad had always been thorough, especially when it came to protecting my future. What happens now? Well, Mr. Patterson said, the bank has flagged Amanda's credentials. She can't access any of the associated accounts now. Also, since she used Mark's personal information to attempt the transfer, there's a formal investigation pending. I thought about Amanda's smug phone call, her certainty that she finally put me in my place. Ever since she'd married Mark 3 years ago, she'd made it her mission to prove she and her daughter were more deserving of the family's resources than I was. Should I call Mark? I asked, though the thought of confronting my brother made my stomach churn. We'd grown distant since Amanda came into the picture, his once protective nature giving way to passive acceptance of his wife's schemes. Actually, Mr. Patterson said, Mark is in my office right now. Amanda's attempt to access the fund automatically notified both trustees. He's not happy. In the background, I could hear my brother's voice, tense and angry. Let me talk to her, he said. There was a shuffling sound as the phone changed hands. Sophie, Mark's voice was strained. I'm so sorry. I had no idea she would try something like this. Really? I couldn't keep the skepticism from my voice. After everything else she's done. He sighed heavily. I know, I've been blind. But this crosses a line. Using my information to try to steal your college fund? That's not just morally wrong, it's illegal. Mr. Patterson says there's going to be an investigation. Yes, Mark replied. And I'm not going to stop it. Amanda needs to learn there are consequences for her actions. Dad trusted me to protect your future, and I've failed at that for too long. His words hit me hard. This was the brother I remembered, the one who'd helped me study for tests and scared away playground bullies, before Amanda had slowly poisoned our relationship with her jealousy and manipulation. What about Emily? I asked, thinking of my 13-year-old niece. Despite Amanda's influence, Emily was a sweet kid who didn't deserve to be caught in the middle of this mess. Emily will be fine, Mark assured me. But she's not getting a Mercedes at the expense of your education. That's not what family does. After hanging up, I sat in my quiet kitchen, processing everything. Amanda's attempt to steal my future had backfired spectacularly, but this was just the beginning. I knew her well enough to know she wouldn't accept defeat gracefully. My phone buzzed with a text. It was Amanda again. "This isn't over. You think you're so clever with your special account protections. We'll see who has the last laugh." I screenshot the message and forwarded it to Mr. Patterson. Let her plot and scheme. Dad had taught me well. Sometimes the best response to threats isn't a confrontation, but careful preparation. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for now, I had something Amanda didn't. The security of knowing my father's legacy was protected, and the satisfaction of knowing her attempt to take it had only exposed her true colors to everyone, including my brother. I finally returned to making my dinner, a small smile playing on my lips as I imagined Amanda's face when she learned her grand theft had failed before it began. Sometimes karma doesn't take its time. Sometimes it works as fast as a bank's security system. The next morning brought chaos. I woke up to 17 missed calls, 12 from Amanda, 3 from Mark, and 2 from Mr. Patterson. Before I could check any of them, my phone buzzed with a call from the bank's fraud department. "Ms. Mitchell, this is Sandra Cooper from First National Security Division. We need to discuss some suspicious activity on your college fund account." I sat up in bed, fully alert now. "Yes, of course. We've documented multiple attempt patterns from yesterday. Your sister-in-law not only tried to transfer the full amount but also attempted to change the account permissions using your brother's stolen credentials." My heart sank. Amanda had been busier than I thought. "We take identity theft very seriously," Sandra continued. "The police have been notified and will need your statement." Just then, my doorbell rang. An angry, persistent buzz that could only be Amanda. Through the door, I could hear her shrill voice. "Sophie, open this door right now." "I'm sorry," I told Sandra. "Can I call you back in an hour? I have a situation to handle." After arranging a callback time, I approached my door cautiously. Through the peephole, I could see Amanda, her face flushed with rage, designer purse clutched like a weapon. "I know you're in there," she yelled. "You think you're so clever, getting Mark involved. He's threatening divorce over this." I opened the door but kept the security chain in place. "Lower your voice, Amanda. My neighbors don't need to hear this." "Your neighbors?" she scoffed. "You mean in this pathetic little apartment? At least my Emily will live somewhere decent when she gets to college. Not that you'll ever know what that's like now." "Are you done?" I asked calmly, because threatening me after attempting bank fraud probably isn't your smartest move. Her face paled slightly. "Bank fraud? Don't be dramatic. I was just trying to access family money." "It's not family money," I interrupted. "It's my college fund, set up by my father with legal protections you triggered by trying to steal it." "I didn't steal anything," she snapped. "The transfer didn't even go through." "Not for lack of trying," I replied. "And using Mark's personal information? That's identity theft, Amanda. The bank's already involved the police." She stepped back, her confidence wavering for the first time. "You're bluffing." I pulled out my phone and played the voicemail from Sandra Cooper. Amanda's face went from red to white as she listened to the fraud investigator detail the severity of her actions. "You've ruined everything," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Mark won't even look at me. He's talking about custody arrangements for Emily." For a moment, I felt a twinge of sympathy. Then I remembered all the times she tried to turn my brother against me, all the snide comments about my cheap education choices, her constant attempts to elevate Emily by pushing me down. "You ruined things yourself," I said firmly. "I'm not pressing charges, yet, but this needs to stop, Amanda. The manipulation, the jealousy, all of it." "Or what?" The venom returned to her voice. "You'll send me to jail, tear Emily's family apart. Some aunt you are." Actually, Mark's voice came from behind her, making us both jump. "Sophie's being kinder than you deserve." My brother stood in the hallway, looking exhausted but determined. "The bank's fraud department called me in this morning. They showed me everything. Every attempt you made to access Sophie's fund, every time you used my information without permission. How long have you been doing this, Amanda?" She spun to face him, tears starting to fall. "Mark, please. I was only thinking of Emily's future. By stealing from her aunt? By committing fraud?" Mark shook his head. "Pack your bags when you get home. My lawyer will contact you about the separation agreement." Amanda's face crumpled. "You're choosing her over your own family? Sophie and Emily are my family, Mark replied. You're the one who tried to steal from family. There's a difference. After Amanda stormed off, Mark turned to me. Can I come in? We need to talk. I closed the door, removed the chain, and let my brother enter. He looked around my small apartment with new eyes, perhaps really seeing for the first time how differently we lived. I'm sorry, he said, sitting heavily on my couch. I should have seen what she was doing long ago. The way she treated you, the comments about money, the constant competition. I just wanted everyone to get along. I know, I said, sitting beside him. But enabling her behavior only made things worse. He nodded. Mr. Patterson showed me everything. Amanda's been trying to access that fund for months, making small attempts here and there. If she had succeeded, he trailed off. But she didn't, I reminded him. Dad made sure of that. Mark smiled sadly. Yeah, he did. He knew what he was doing when he set up those protections. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. Speaking of Dad, Mr. Patterson gave me this. It's a letter Dad left, to be opened if anyone ever tried to tamper with your fund. My hands trembled as I took the envelope. Inside was a single page, covered in our father's familiar handwriting. My dearest Sophie, if you're reading this, someone has tried to take what I set aside for your future. Know that I prepared for this possibility, not because I didn't trust your brother as trustee, but because I understood how people can change when money is involved. Your education, your dreams, they matter. Don't let anyone tell you different. The fund is protected not just by legal documents, but by people who know your worth. Trust them, and more importantly, trust yourself. Remember what I always told you. Education is the one thing nobody can take from you once you have it. That's why I made sure nobody could take the means to get it either. Love, Dad. I wiped tears from my eyes as I finished reading. Mark put his arm around my shoulders just like when we were kids. He was right, Mark said softly, and I'm going to make sure both you and Emily understand that. No more competitions, no more comparisons. Just family supporting family, the way it should be. As we sat there, my phone buzzed with another call from the fraud department. The investigation was proceeding and they needed our statements. But for that moment, sitting with my brother, holding our father's letter, I felt stronger than I had in years. Amanda's attempt to steal my future had only secured it further, bringing truth to light and family back together. Sometimes I thought the worst attacks can lead to the best defenses. 6 months later, I stood in front of my college's administration building, clutching my acceptance letter to the nursing program. The morning sun cast long shadows across the campus, and I couldn't help but smile thinking about how much had changed. The fraud investigation had concluded swiftly. Amanda faced serious consequences, not jail time, thanks to Mark's and my decision not to press charges, but she had to complete financial counseling and community service. More importantly, she had to acknowledge her actions in front of Emily, who deserved to understand why her parents were separating. Aunt Sophie, Emily's voice carried across the parking lot. She ran toward me, her backpack bouncing, followed by Mark, who carried a small celebration cake. I got in, I announced, hugging my niece tightly. I knew you would, Emily beamed. Dad says you're the smartest person he knows. Well, except for me, maybe. Mark laughed, setting the cake down on a nearby bench. I'd say it's a tie. He pulled me into a hug. Dad would be so proud of you, sis. The past months had transformed our relationship. Mark had thrown himself into being both a better brother and father, making sure Emily understood the value of hard work over easy shortcuts. To my surprise, Emily had blossomed without Amanda's constant pressure, discovering a genuine love for science that had nothing to do with competing with anyone. Mr. Patterson called this morning, Mark said as we shared the cake. He wanted to confirm the first tuition transfer. Everything's set for next semester. I nodded, thinking about the financial advisor who had become something of a guardian angel. He'd helped restructure the fund to create a separate account for Emily's future education, not taken from my fund, but started fresh by Mark. A legacy of learning, he'd called it, not a prize to be stolen. Mom called yesterday, Emily said quietly, picking at her cake. She wanted to know if I still wanted the Mercedes when I turned 16. Mark and I exchanged glances. Amanda had moved to her sister's house in Colorado, maintaining contact with Emily through supervised calls. She was trying to change, or at least claim to be. What did you tell her? I asked. Emily straightened her shoulders. I said I'd rather save for college like Aunt Sophie. Cars don't last forever, but education does, right? Pride swelled in my chest. That's exactly right. Besides, Emily grinned, Dad's old Honda is perfectly fine for learning to drive in. Mark pretended to be offended. Old? That car's a classic. We laughed together, the sound echoing across the campus quad. A few months ago, this scene would have been impossible. Amanda would have found a way to turn it into a competition, a chance to prove her daughter deserved more than her sister-in-law. My phone buzzed with a text from Mr. Patterson. Your father's original investment has grown significantly. You'll have enough for the full nursing program and then some. He always knew you'd make it here. I showed the message to Mark, who smiled softly. He did know. Even when I lost my way, Dad never doubted you'd get here. Speaking of getting places, Emily chimed in. Can we see your classroom buildings? I want to know where you'll be learning everything. As we walked through campus, Emily peppered me with questions about nursing, her enthusiasm genuine and untainted by comparison to anyone else's achievements. Mark watched us with clear eyes, free from the fog of Amanda's manipulation. You know, he said as Emily ran ahead to examine a statue, sometimes good things come from bad situations. If Amanda hadn't tried to steal your fund, we might still be living in her version of reality, I finished, where everything was a competition and family meant ownership instead of support. He nodded. Emily's happier now. She's learning what really matters. Like father, like daughter, I teased. Later that evening, alone in my apartment, I took up Dad's letter again. The paper was worn now from multiple readings, but his words remained as clear as ever. He had protected more than just money. He protected the truth about family, about support, about believing in someone's future. I texted Emily before bed. Proud of you, kiddo. Keep dreaming big. Her response came quickly. You too, Aunt Sophie. Thanks for showing me what that looks like. As I prepared for bed, another text arrived, this one from Amanda. Heard you got into nursing school. Good luck. Simple, no backhanded compliments or subtle digs. Maybe she was learning too. I fell asleep thinking about cycles broken and lessons learned. Amanda's attempt to steal my college fund had failed, but it had succeeded in teaching us all something valuable about family, faith, and the real meaning of investment in someone's future. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply becoming exactly who you were meant to be, regardless of those who tried to stop you. Dad knew that all along. That's why he protected not just my education fund, but my right to become whoever I chose to be. And that, I realized, was worth more than all the Mercedes in the world.